Good evening and welcome to Monday night's Fools Rush In. We promised to do everything we possibly could to bring a positive, vibrant episode of Fools this Monday after what was something of a shit show of a weekend. We have got one hell of a panel for you, including not one but two special guests. But before we get to all of that and the positives that I want to share and today's big question, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Shall we start by saying hello to the regulars? First of all, good evening and welcome to tonight's panel, Craig. How are you, sir?
You bastard.
I don't know what you mean.
That's it. I think, is this what I get for not being on the panel for a few weeks? Yeah. No, I'm all good, thanks, mate. Yeah, how are you?
Yes, I am very, very well, thank you. Very, very well.
No, I'm glad to be back on. It's been a while, so yeah. Looking forward to tonight and potentially other nights as well.
Other nights, indeed. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Sir, you're looking very well, I must say.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I don't use Just for Men. It's just I'm growing my beard. And the black's just gone through and camouflaged the greys at the moment. So, as I say, just grow old with grace. So yeah, I'm not looking to diet anytime soon. So yeah.
So we've got a big question again tonight. After missing it for one episode, we've got a question for everyone. Those watching can answer as well, but I'll be asking all the panelists. Life-defining moments. What was the last life-defining moment you had? And that stems from, I put a tweet out and on my Facebook as well, that my lad, young Aiden, coming up 14 in a couple of weeks, he just had at this weekend his first foot-long Subway. And I think that's a life-defining moment, that first foot-long Subway. So it doesn't have to be food-related because not all of our audience like it when we discuss food. But you have a think and let me know your last life-defining moment.
Well, to be fair, Fifey, I'm always satisfied once I've had a foot-long inside me. So yeah.
And no one else watching this can see this, but I've just watched the reaction of all the waiting panelists to the obvious joke being said. Woody was a big fan, so that there are others not so much. Let's get some more panelists on. But before we do, actually, John says, you in the bathroom, Craig?
No, I'm in my diary. It's just I'm using my phone again. My laptop's knackered, so that's why I've got this weird view. And no, unfortunately not. Vicky hasn't banished me to the bathroom yet, so it'll only be a matter of time, though.
Let's get our next panel member on and find out their last life-defining moment. Good evening, Monday Night Was.
Evening.
How are you now?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. You're looking quite chirpy this evening.
Oh, as always.
Always.
We love a Monday, don't we?
We do love a Monday, especially after a Saturday.
Oh, not after that Saturday. Not after that Saturday.
Not after that Saturday. Have a think, mate. Have you got any life-defining moments that have come recently?
No, I nearly broke 90 playing golf, but that would be a defining moment if I do ever do it, playing golf, breaking 90. But no, it's not really that exciting. But no, I will have a think.
All right, you have a think, but we all believe in you. At 90 is doable, mate.
No, yeah, I hope so.
Next up, a man who has had nothing but life-defining moments. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Fifey. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Say yourself.
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, looking forward to tonight.
Good, yes, and me. Anything spring to mind in recent memory, life-defining moments?
Well, I guess it depends how serious you want to get.
Not serious at all, bearing in mind that my example was Aidan having his first foot-long Subway sandwich.
Oh, God.
And then Craig making a sexy innuendo joke about it.
Yeah.
Well, it was hardly innuendo, was it? So...
No, well, I suppose it's after 9 o'clock, so it's okay. So let
I
Craig
think anyone by now knows, anyone watching this by now knows there will be foul language and there will be adult themes.
Life-defining moment. I'll tell you one. When I first started work, as a 15-year-old straight from school who knew jack shit,
okay,
and the guy I was working with said something to me when we were in the yard, and as you did at school, stupidly, I flicked the V's at him. That was a big mistake because he come up to me face to face and said, "You ever do that again, and I'll put these two fingers up your nose and lift you off the ground." Message understood. That was my life-defining work moment. Never, ever disrespected him again.
Mike's nice and awake early. Did Wazza say he wants to drive at 90 in his Golf? Hope his tyres are up to it.
Very good, Mike.
Next up, let's say hello and good evening. Where should we go next? Let's go to Ben. Evening, Ben.
Oh, hello. It's me next. How you doing, Fifey? Hello, boys.
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, actually. Yeah, I'm tickety-boo and looking forward to another good show.
Any life-defining moments
Well,
come to mind?
I've been having a wee bit of a think about this whilst you're having a bit of a chat away.
Is that Ben McNichols has turned up today with a little Scottish?
Yeah, Ben McNichols. I was at a wedding, one of my friend's weddings, Johnny Bravo's wedding.
I love the fact that you've got a mate called Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, Johnny Bravo. Yeah, my mate Johnny Bravo was at his wedding. And, people, they walk down, they've got gloves and they've got trays and they've got people walking around going, "Yeah, would you like some of this?" Nice.
Where is this going?
I had never had before in my life halloumi. Never. Squeaky cheese, hot cheese, halloumi. Never before. So I was like, "What's this?" This is a halloumi and a stick. Oh, what is this?
Squeaky goat's cheese.
Squeaky goat's cheese. Now, that poor girl got followed for the next hour.
Because that doesn't sound predatorish at all, does it?
Yeah, but she had a halloumi. So when she ran out, I fucked off.
you did what?
I went away.
Wow.
But yeah, halloumi. And since then, I've been like, let's get some halloumi. And occasionally, Sarah will treat and cook up some halloumi, some squeaky cheese. Oh, it's lovely. So yeah,
she's a good one,
it's
Sarah,
like a funny moment. I ate some halloumi at a wedding, and I loved it, and I've loved it ever since.
Okay, well, that's a very good life-defining moment there, Ben. Well done. Very well prepared. Someone else who I'm sure is well prepared for this question by now. Good evening, Woody.
Not even well prepared to take my mic off mute. Good evening.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Hope everyone's good.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Have you prepared a life-defining moment while sat in the lobby?
Have I prepared bullshit? Have I prepared for anything? I don't prepare for anything, Fifey. You know that. And in fact, that probably was my life-defining moment. About I changed formation. Never was a right back. My life-defining moment. To be honest, mine's a bit more serious actually.
Okay.
Just because I couldn't think of a funny one. To be totally honest, that's a bit shit, isn't it?
Well, you're not. We don't have you on here as a regular to be the comedian.
All right. Fucking pricks. My life-defining moment was signing up TSTPL. No, generally, my life-defining moment, and this is going to be really morbid and horrible, was actually my mum's funeral. Mainly because she was quite young when she passed away, and I think at that point it kind of makes you realise kind of how short life is. So naturally, the first thing I did when I left was get absolutely smashed and nearly get run over by a car. So that was my life-defining moment. So just take every step because you never know when it might end. But yeah, so yeah, I don't really have any funny ones to think of. I do remember when I had my first footlong though, and I dropped it down my trousers.
Nice, good work.
Take that as you will.
Wow. Let's bring on the first of hopefully two special guests tonight, and hopefully someone who will very quickly bring the mood of the camp back up after Woody's very poignant, but not exactly on message story. Good evening, Joe. Welcome back to Fools.
Hello. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you. Thanks for coming on again.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to hearing your views from Saturday, that's for sure. While you've been sat in the lobby, have you been thinking of any life-defining moments for us?
I think it might sound a bit cheesy, but I think I had my daughter really quite young. So, I mean, she's 26 now. So, and I had her when I was 18. I then had my son at 21. And I thought that I wouldn't get the opportunity to, meet somebody and all that jazz. And then I met my husband and we had Dylan. So, and I never thought I'd have that opportunity. And I was kind of like blessed to get that. And yeah, that was my life defining moment. I think, I didn't think I'd ever, having two small children and whatnot. I don't think, I thought I'd ever get the chance of being happy again. And I did. So, yes, there you go. Quite a nice one.
Very nice sentimental one.
Nice that on. That was a lovely one, Joe.
Thank you.
We are hopeful of welcoming a second special guest, but their line has just been disconnected briefly. So we will hopefully welcome them shortly.
Guest. Keep trying.
Keep trying, guest. Well, I mean, I want to start with something positive because this is likely to be a very, very downbeat negative show. I want to start with something positive, and that positive is after the weekend that we've just had, I have listened to one of, in my opinion only, one of the best episodes of both Loathe Strangers and Monday Night Panel I have listened to in a long time. It was so refreshing to hear all the different views, not all just saying this is bad, this has to change, but well thought out, well-rounded views expressed in a way that only fans can do. So I want to say that my positive to start the show is how good those episodes of Loathe Strangers and Official Supporters Club were the last couple of days. Superb. Round of applause for them. I really did like them. This is a forget the question. This is the life-defining moment you've all been waiting for. Many of you will have heard us refer to One Show, the mythical One Show, but most of you won't have a clue who that is. I am delighted to say that sometimes one does become two. Welcome back after something like 2 years. Welcome back to Fools, Gary.
Yay!
One Show's back.
I might as well be One Show again, the way the internet's bloody working tonight. I'm back on the phone.
How are you, pal? How are you doing?
I'm here, finally.
You are. You're back. And ready to cause carnage, no doubt.
Not sure about that.
So the one and only time you featured previously, despite being actually an original invitee to Fools all those years ago now, it was just after, I want to say, Bristol Rovers, and you bizarrely had blue and white balloons in the background.
Yeah, Mrs.'s birthday, wasn't it?
It was indeed. It was indeed. So how's things been, mate? How are you? All right?
Yeah, living the dream, enjoying the Swinner Town as ever.
It's a magical ride, isn't it? Let's delve straight into it. And Joe, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ladies first and ask. Well, can you think of any positives first and foremost from that game?
I've got at least one positive from the game, and this is because the people that where my season ticket is, we've got like a row of really good people that I've got to know really quite well, and we take it in turns doing halftime snacks. And I like do sausage rolls, or when it was Archer's birthday, I took in birthday cake and whatnot. And this week it was Kinder Buenos.
Oh yes.
Winner. That just got me the best halftime snack ever. But back to the game wise, I'm just hoping that I've been pondering this all day since you gave me the task of trying to come up with anything positive, Fifey. Thank you very much. And I think the only thing really that's come out of it for me personally is that now everybody is agreeing with my statement that I said a long time ago, and you said you were going to name a show after it, is that we are lacking bulky and ballsy.
Yeah, but we haven't had an opportunity to name a show. I mean, this is probably as good a show as any to name bulky and ballsy, I would say.
Well, yeah, it's true though, isn't it? I think we just looked like a pushover. It was quite, yeah. I remember in the first 20 minutes or so, I turned to Mark and just said, this is just a bit Lindsay-esque. And then obviously they came out in the second half and looked a bit more on it. And then, of course, Donington scored twice within a very, very short time frame. Kane looks good. I think he looks very, very good. I think he's going to be a good player. But they have just signed another person that's 5'8" and probably about 9 stone wet. So
I was born heavier than that.
I can't remember the last time I was 9 stone. But I do think as well, and I'm gonna throw this out there because this is just my perception, is that everybody wanted Lindsay out. He went, gone.com. Yeah. And then it was left, that period of time where we didn't have a head coach, manager, whatever you want to call it. And then Jody Morris was, then Charlie Austin was coming to save the day. Mm-hmm. Now, if you think back to pre-Charlie Austin, there was nobody delivering any service to Jeffcott at all.
Nope.
Everybody deemed him as a waste of space. I don't know why everybody thought that would change with Charlie Austin, because we've still got the same problem.
The supply line.
Yeah, I also think as well that, with such a big signing of Morris, well, not so big.
What's a dig? What have you got about short men?
I think it's because I'm 5'11" and a bit. I think that's probably what it is. No, I think that everybody thought that he'd come in, he'd save the day, and overnight we were going to be this magnificent, team that's going to end up in the autos or and it's just not happened yet. But I think fans and everybody was under that honeymoony, moonlighty period, expecting that to happen. And in realistically, that was never going to be the case. He doesn't know League Two. He doesn't know League Two at all. He doesn't know, what needs to be done. He doesn't. Wow. Yeah.
He's going to have to learn quickly, isn't he?
He is going to have to learn quickly, and I think that. I mean, the amount of people who were just putting Morris out straight away, and I was thinking,
don't.
I'm sure that's a joke.
No, the thing is, Ben, it's not. It's not. There are genuinely people already saying he's not up to it, and it's the bloke's been in the job for 13 days. I ask anyone except for Woody, obviously, to be fucking shit hot at their job after 13 days.
Exactly.
I know, and he's not even got his assistant yet. They're going to sack him off before they've actually hired his assistant manager.
This is it, and I like I said, I think we kind of set ourselves up for that. We were all really, really super excited, and rightly so, because this is Swindon, and this is what you do, isn't it? It's always a roller coaster. Well, it has been for me, so that's what I've noticed.
And roller coasters are fun, aren't they, Joe?
They are. I love a roller coaster. But no, honestly, I think we set ourselves up for the disappointment. And I do. Probably a lot of people don't agree with me, but hey ho. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say about it, to be fair.
Well, Gary, let's bring you in. Everyone was hoping for the new manager bounce, and it's fair to say we've got one. The problem is we're bouncing downwards.
That's very true. I mean, I can't get on board with it with people saying get him out already. It just seems ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But I think he needs players. What's been sold from under him hasn't improved the side. We're centre back short, maybe two. The midfield looks weaker. Austin playing up front, I think, needs a partner with him. I think that will help. But yeah, certainly, I can't see anyone even calling for Jody out at the moment. It just seems just madness.
Oh, we've lost one. Who did we lose there?
Can we just do a roll call register? Craig, Jerry,
I can't remember
one show. You're right down here on the bottom of my list somewhere.
I'm still here.
Sorry, Gary. Carry on with the point you were making.
That's pretty much it. I just can't see the point of people shouting for Jody out, and people. I've agreed with you. I've seen people actually say it on Facebook and whatnot. They're actually starting to say Jody out, and that just seems madness.
Well, John suggested there. I don't know if you saw the comment flash up. More chance of Morris walking again. 2 weeks in, are we concerned that this might be a genuine thing? I'm not so sure. No. What I will ask you though, Gary, we're going to come on to the game obviously in just a second, but because it has been so long since we had you on, what's been your viewpoint from the start of the season to January, and then how are you feeling at the end of the window?
God, I've had a few beers since then. I got to remember that now. Oh wow! Start of season, I wasn't optimistic. Lindsay lost the plot. There was no way he had to go, either sacked or leave. He left. We got some money. Happy days. The January window came and went. Was I impressed with what we did? Yeah. I think we lost some experience. Didn't really replace it. We didn't get a centre back we desperately needed. Austin coming in was great, but like you say, you got to supply him. Where we are now, we're dropping down the league again. Jody Morris has got a lot to do, I think.
Certainly has. Just catching up on a couple of comments on Twitter. Paddy's been in touch. Evening, Paddy. Good evening, everyone. Hugely disappointed with Saturday. A terrible performance for him. Never seen so many players with their heads down, shoulders hunched, not looking like they were interested. No wonder Jody Morris said if he had paid, he would have booed too. He then went on to say his life-defining moment was when him and Denzel being cornered by Italian ultras at an England game in Italy. We had nowhere to go, looked at each other and burst into the Paddy Stavros shuffle, only for the ultras to join in and calm ensued. Old school shenanigans. And Rob's also been in touch. Evening, Rob. Lose tomorrow and it's done, I'm afraid. As extreme as that sounds, Sandro has to go. That was a shit show of a transfer window. Give Jody Morris the chance with his own players and go again next season. So, Nick, let me ask you, because again, we're touching on stuff before looking at the game specifically, and it links into a question that I actually put onto the official supporters club. Now, I know me and Craig have potentially disagreed about this in the past. I still view last season as a completely wasted opportunity.
I agree with you.
No, you agreed. It's over. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Yeah, you agreed. Me and Craig have both said last season was a wasted opportunity. But if we're all going along the same thought process as Rob, Nick, how many times can we say if it's not this year, it has to be next?
I think that's the right quote that you've just said, and I was the one of the optimists, not the realist like Craig, and thought we'd have a top 3 go for it. Mm-hmm. I've just looked at what you need to get into the top 3 and the top 7, and I can't see us even getting into the top 7 as it stands at the moment.
Is it goals, clean sheets, and not getting red cards by any chance?
That would help. It would actually just getting some points on the board. We need to get into the top 7 over the last 5 seasons, excluding the COVID season. Your average was 73 points and 81 to get into the top 3. So to get 73 points, we need something like 8 wins and 6 draws and only 3 defeats. And just looking at that, sorry, I can't see where it's coming from. And I've gone down the fixtures and being very optimistic. I think the most we will get is 29 points, and that's been really optimistic. The next 2 games will define our season. Simple as that. If we can get 6 points out of those next 2, it gives us a chance. If we don't, I don't think we will be very lucky if we get into the top 7. And that's where we're sitting at the moment, in my view.
Well, see, this is the thing, and Craig, I'll bring you in at this point, because we've obviously spoken in our WhatsApp group. It's well established. I believe it's 3 wins since Mansfield back in October. Last back-to-back wins was October. And I know Ben will come on shortly and tell us that, all bad runs come to an end and the good times are coming, but it's... The title of the Low Strangers episode was unacceptable, and that is what it is at the minute, Craig, isn't it? It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, it is unacceptable, and a lot of it is we've shot ourselves in the foot. To be fair, I think it was Tyler, wasn't it, on the Low Strangers who said this goes back to before pre-season when it took us 6 weeks to appoint Lindsay and then another 6 weeks to appoint his assistant. We dithered so much with managerial appointments, and then we went and did it again. We knew Lindsay was going. It took him 2 weeks to go. So why did it take us so long to appoint Morris? I don't think Morris should go. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think he's going to get us up this season. I really thought with his appointment that he might be the extra bit that could get us over the line into the playoffs. But after the last 2 performances, you can just see that the problems are bigger than just Morris. And again, I'm going to go on the route down to D. McKelly. He's responsible for the recruitment. I don't know what input Rob Angus has in it. I'm surprised that it takes so long for us to appoint a manager. I know it's never a straightforward thing and it can be a complicated process, but come on, how many other clubs have had this twice in less than a year where we're taking more than 2 weeks to appoint a manager? It's absolutely ludicrous. The transfer window was a disaster as well. We've got rid of a lot of the experienced players who I've been critical of. I do admit that. But if we're supposedly a promotion chasing team, and the club have said that we're a promotion chasing team. Yep. Charlie Austin was a what's the bloody word I'm trying to say? A statement signing. Well, if that's the case, then how comes you've only got one experienced player over the age of 30? A promotion team, a successful promotion team needs experience, and we've hardly got that in this team. And, you know, there's no way I can see these players getting us over the line. We might get into the playoffs because you've got 10 teams that can probably get into the last 2 playoff spaces. But the gaps, as I've said in our WhatsApp group, are getting bigger and bigger. First, it was the top 2. Now it's the top 3 and 4. Before long, 5th place will be, you know, there'll be quite a gap there. And like I said, you'll have 10 teams who are all just inconsistent and poor, battling it out for the last 2 playoff places. And I'm not confident that we will be one of them in that. And when we go to stats, another stat that I picked up, as well as the one where we said we've only won 3 games since Mansfield, we've only won 6 games at home out of 15. 6 games at home out of 15. That is, you know, I'm sorry, if you're a promotion, if we're as good as we think we are, if you're a promotion pushing team, you should be winning more than 6 games at home. It is not good enough. And it's not just Sandro. Sandro is a big problem, but a lot of those players need to start taking responsibility for their performances, because a lot of them, they're stealing a wage at this club, I think, because they are not good enough. They might be good enough for a top 12 team, and that's fine. If you want a team that just goes into the top half of the division, then yeah, they're good enough. They are good enough. But are they good enough for promotion? No, they're not. And also, one more stat I've got. 10 games this season, we have failed to score a goal. How many promotion chasing teams do that? And that's before, and we've still got, 17 odd games left. You know, it's the stats are pretty worrying for me. And unless Jody Morris performs a miracle this season with what he's got, and it will be a bigger achievement than since Lou Macari got us out of Division 4. You know, if he gets us up this season, I really think so. And I honestly think that he's jumped into a situation that he's probably not fully aware of the bigger problems that we've got at this club at the moment. But yeah, it's I did my job, Fifey. I've decided, I've been all negative, like you said, but yeah, I'm just pissed off. I don't want to spend another season in this shitty league, but it looks like we're going to. And I don't.
Craig,
sorry.
The problem is though, if it's not next year, it has to be the year after.
Yeah,
it's just a never-ending cycle.
Exactly. So, and if Dee McKelly's still here in the next summer transfer window, then I have no faith that we'll go up next season either.
Nice to know we're all nice and buoyant, come full of love on Valentine's Eve. Paddy's been in touch. For me, at Oakus Road is spot on. I can't realistically see us doing it this season. Just not consistent enough. We're incapable of going on a run. August till now proves that. It speaks for itself. We're going to keep touching on this topic throughout the evening, I'm sure. So let's look at the game. Woody, where do we even begin? Let's just say it's sort of defending 101, but once you concede, you don't then instantly concede again.
Well, yeah, but I think we've done that a couple of times this season, haven't we? I think if there's anybody who's vulnerable when they concede, it's us. But I think, it's. I'm trying not to be too harsh, because I think that, Clayton had a lot to look at for the first goal, I think, and potentially even the second goal. But he shouldn't have even been in the lineup. I'm sorry, but he was not fit. And I know you only get match fit by playing matches. He was not fit. Never mind match fit. Never mind 20% fit. That guy was dead on his legs after 15 minutes. He shouldn't have been put in that position. When we've got 2 centre backs fit on the bench, to my knowledge, fit on the bench, why are we putting in FBT, who's been ill half the week, and also Clayton, who has just come back from quite a bad injury. I just think that it is difficult because he's lost his man. He couldn't keep up with him. Clayton's never been the quickest, really, but I'd expect him to be quicker than he was. And even even I don't really remember the goals too well. I wasn't expecting this question, but it's at the end of the day, I just think the whole performance defensively and going forward was very, very lethargic. Lethargic is probably the main word I would use to describe that whole performance. And that I know people will say we shouldn't come in expecting Jody Morris to work miracles, but I'm sorry, I'm expecting more from the players than that. If you're a player, you've got the new manager bounce. You want that manager to pick you for the next game. And
on that point specifically, Woody, while you're talking, let me just flash up the BBC match stats to say 1 shot on target.
Yeah, at home.
Home
is shocking. Yeah, exactly. And I generally think we put that down because that's like really bright. I generally think that, and I already hear Ben glaring at me when I say this, that was worse than any Scott Lindsay performance. It was
that actually is a Scott Lindsay stat right there. We've seen that stat many
times. Whoa, hang on. Let's just quantify this because I was going to say this when Joe said it as well. In the same time period, and I will let you come back and finish this point, Woody. In the same time period, Swindon Town played 2, 1 goal, no points. Crawley played 2, scored 5, 4 points. So if that's a Scott Lindsay performance, where's our goals and points?
Right. Okay. But we haven't played the same teams, and I'm not sure of Crawley's. But do Crawley have as many injuries and suspensions as we do?
What Crawley have got is Swindon Town. What Crawley have got, Ben, is Swindon Town's Ben Gladwin scoring 97 for the equaliser.
You can't hold suspensions as a problem. You can't hold suspensions as an excuse. It's our fault the players have got suspended.
Right, we will judge Scott Lindsay and our manager at the end of the season after we've had half a season each. If Scott Lindsay finishes Crawley mid-table and we finish mid-table, then I'll hold my hands up and say Scott Lindsay wasn't the problem, and it was the squad and everyone, because everyone wanted Scott Lindsay out, was wrong. And everyone mocking 60%, 70% possession and 1 shot on target. Everyone was taking the piss, saying that's such a typical Swindon performance. 70% possession, 1 shot on target. That was typical Scott Lindsay. That stat was showing up. You could have posted that in September and really gone, we wouldn't have had an eye because that was a Scott Lindsay type stat. And that's true. We all knew that because that happened a lot under Scott Lindsay. Crab football.
But we're not under Scott Lindsay.
No, but I'm just saying, everyone's saying, we're worse than Scott Lindsay.
But that's not a Scott Lindsay performance. That's a Jody Morris performance.
That mirrored a Scott Lindsay performance.
That is a Jody Morris performance, Ben.
Yeah, it was a Jody Morris performance, but that performance mirrored Scott Lindsay performance.
Obviously my point was misunderstood. I didn't genuinely mean it was literally a Scott Lindsay performance. I meant it was a performance when we were under Scott Lindsay. So my point I'm trying to make is the fact that for me says that if it's a performance, we're performing like that under Scott Lindsay. Bearing in mind that's the second game we've played poorly under Jody Morris. We're playing like that under Jody Morris. I think did we have higher possession despite having less men against Newport? I think, if I remember rightly. So we were still when we against Newport, we had most possession, didn't we? Even though we were one man down. Yeah. So that says to me something else that is beyond the management. It's beyond the coaching team.
A bit like what Sean's saying here.
Yeah, potentially. Or it could be, and I'll hold my hands up because I said at the beginning of the season, along with Nick, that I did think we had a squad good enough to push to the top. But we've got to look realistically, based on what I've seen on the last 3 games, potentially, that squad isn't good enough. We did not, and I know Craig's had his Sandra Di Michele moment, but we did not replace what went out. It doesn't matter how you look at it. We didn't replace Gladwin. We didn't replace McDonald. Okay, and don't anybody come at me with we signed Fraser Blake Tracy. We already had him, so his loan would have been extended even if we didn't sign him permanently. So it's like we didn't sign, like, as much as McDonald's faced a lot of criticism this season, he was still that experienced centre back.
Yep.
And we have not replaced the experienced centre back. We're now looking at this weekend. Johnny Williams is out injured. Yeah, okay, we've made the young lad sign in today, but instantly you're thinking, right, okay, Williams is injured. Does that mean we can put Gladwin in? No, we can't put Gladwin in. Who are we going to put in place? We can't really say, is Khan going to be the right man? Khan is a fucking risk now. He's had 2 sending-offs this season. For me, he's a risk. He's a liability. So as good as a player he is, he's a liability. So but reflecting back on Saturday, like, I've never felt so. I mean, the first hour of the game was pretty boring as well. I was almost asleep. We had a spell of about 10, 15 minutes where we were maybe the better side, but Donny were the better of the 2 shittest teams on 2 shit teams. They didn't, I said to Matty, who I go with, and the guy behind me, I said that Molyneux's going to score. He was the only player on that pitch for me that had that little bit of bright spark about him, and lo and behold, he scored. Yes, he's taken advantage of some poor defending, but fair play to Jody. He's come out and said that he wasn't happy with the performance and stuff, but I'm not saying I want him to be brutally honest, but unless he's not picking the team, which I believe he would be, you don't bring in a coach of that caliber if you're not going to let him pick the side. But he's got to look at his decision there to play 2 unfit centre backs, and I think they're both left-footed as well. So it's when like, I'm not saying that Brennan's the answer. I'm not saying that Minton's the answer, but there was no way that those 2 should have started.
The best choice. No, very true. Paddy's been in touch on the earlier point. Come on, Ben. Come on, mate. There's being optimistic, and there is clutching at poor excuses. Suspensions ? Come on, Ben. You're better than that. Wazza, you were nodding along regarding the replacing of the experienced players, particularly McDonald at centre back. Do you want to come in on this point?
Well, everyone knows I was a fan of McDonald. I didn't care about his performance. Everyone judged him based on whether he could pass a ball, not whether he could defend. And that's what done my nut in the best of times. But the fans made this happen. You know what I mean? They didn't like McDonald. They didn't like Gladwin. You know what I mean? These players have, you know what I mean?
Lindsay.
Didn't like Lindsay. You know what I mean? The pressure's got there, and the board have gone, well, if the fans don't like it, let's see if we can make it happen and get rid. And we haven't replaced the experience. Saturday, for me personally, I think the wrong system was there. I don't see how we're going to create chances with Charlie being the only striker on the pitch. It is not going to happen. And everyone moans about 3-5-2 or 5-3-2. That's the only way I can see us creating chances, because we need to get someone up alongside Charlie, because it does not work with him on his own, because he can't do it. He can't do it all. He's that fox in the box that you need there, that when the ball comes in, he'll score you that chance. But we struggled, and it struggled from the top end of the pitch. There was no Wakelin, Darcy, Williams behind. They were all too samey, all doing the same things. There was no different dimension. Nothing happened. It was boring. It was dull. It was sideways, backwards passing. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. I don't agree with Woody on the. I don't think Morris. I think Morris has got enough balls to not pick Clayton and Blake Tracy if they weren't fit. You know what I mean? I don't think he's one of those that are shy away from a decision like that. I think if he wouldn't have seen that they were fit, he wouldn't have played them. But I would have comfortably put 3 at the back. I would have put Brennan in. I would have put Iandolo as well. Another one that's getting a load of criticism at the moment because he's not a left back. Put him at left wing back and he can bomb forward and not have that pressure of having to come back as much. He makes things happen going forward. But defensively, he is not good enough. So you've got to work with what you've got. I'm sort of on the positive side that I think Morris could do something. And you've got to remember that he's only been in charge 2 games. Let's give this guy a bit of time to implement what he wants to do. I don't think we should give him 5-6 games. Yeah, and that might mean that we might be out of the playoff picture. But this isn't down to Morris. This is Craig hit the nail on the head earlier. This is down to us not acting quick enough. We acted at the start of January and got Morris through the door and got the players that Morris might have wanted. You know what I mean? We could be there or thereabouts again now, but you've got to give this guy time to be able to do what he wants to do. He might be doing something completely different to what Lindsay was doing, what he wants. You've already heard a comment that he doesn't feel the players are fit enough. And on Saturday, it looks like he might have given them a beast of a week, and they looked lethargic as hell on Saturday, didn't they? Didn't move. He could be working on stuff that this might be. I know you said it earlier, Fifey, that there's got to be an eye, and maybe Morris is thinking in his head, it might not happen this year. But we've got to be patient, and I hope the fans, even if it does get slightly worse, I don't think we can go and start judging Morris now. And he could be the best thing that's happened to us, Morris. He's a very well-respected coach. Compared to some of the other drivel that we've had, the likes of Garner and Lindsay, this guy is a cut above. And I honestly think that he will make things happen for us, but we've just got to give him that time. We've got to give him another month with the games that we've got coming up. I know it's a big month and a big couple of months coming, but he's got to find the right system, the right players to play it. And like I said, the key is putting someone up top with Charlie Austin, because if that does not happen, we will not score goals.
Well, on that note, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken drum here, but Ben, let me bring you in to discuss the game and lead in with the point of the only player to score so far under Morris is Tommy Adeloy, and he didn't even get on the pitch again.
No, he's obviously like all the other managers that he's worked under so far. I've not fancied him at all. He only got a game against Newport, was to give Charlie Austin a bit of a breather. I think I don't think we'll see much of Adeloy at all. It was a smart finish, his finish, but he's obviously not doing the business and training to get himself noticed or stood up, which is a shame. But I don't see him playing much of going forward with Swindon, unfortunately. But I'd like to be proved wrong. Hopefully he does prove me wrong, but it's a shame for him. Yeah, we move on.
And on the game itself?
The game itself was dreadful. I concur with everyone, really. I agree with everyone. I think the first half, Bradford tried to press, but didn't really look like he's scoring. I think they forced our keeper into a couple. Bradford, Donny. they forced our keeper into a couple of fingertip saves, but never really seriously looked threatening. I think we hit the bar that woke everyone up for the last kick of the first half. First 20 minutes of the second half, we looked sort of a bit more livelier without actually forcing the keeper to do anything. And then they scored, and that just killed the whole thing. And then they did it again 2 minutes later. And then the sort of toxicity kicked in a little bit, and it just got a little bit nasty, which is a shame. And and as the game sort of faded out, we went out without a whimper or a fight, which is really depressing. We didn't show any forefront going forward. I thought the only player that showed any creative or nous going forward was Johnny Williams, who had an okay game. He still wasn't at his best, but I thought he was all right. I think Jake Kane was all right in the second half. I think he came out of himself, hitting the post off. That sort of livened up a little bit. But other than that, I think no one else gets a sort of more than sort of 4 or 5 out of 10. Which is poor. And players that are usually quite reliable and getting good points just didn't turn up. So I think Wasm makes a great point. I think Morris came in and said this team's unfit. It's nowhere near wants to be. And if he has pushed them hard this week, I think we might have seen a tired performance, because it was tired today. So hopefully we might see something a little bit better.
Go on, Woody, you want to say something?
I agree with what you're saying around they may have looked like they were tired, but if that's the case, if he thinks they're not fit, why have the club beyond him made so many promises about we're going for a promotion push? And I'm not being funny.
Fans want to hear, Woody. It's what the fans
want to hear. But what the fans want to hear is a consistent message going between the manager and the head coach and the board. Because I'm sorry, I can't buy into. I know he's saying they might be unfit, but fucking hell, lads, we're in the top 10 of the league. We can't. Statistically, there should be at least 14 teams not as fit as us. I'm not buying into this. Like,
Well, maybe he
don't
thinks they
get me
should be
wrong.
fitter than they are right now. Maybe they are fit. He wants them fitter because he wants to play a pressing game.
Oh yeah, he wants.
Compliment
Yeah, I
them.
get that. I get that, but I'm sorry, but he can't come out and keep saying. And don't get me wrong, I'm not nowhere near a JD. You all know that I was probably one of the biggest fans of his appointment.
Yep.
But I did say that he is a great man for what we want to do. Is he the type of person that could get us out of this league? I don't know. My gut feelings are kind of saying probably not, because I think he's been given a bit of a duff squad to work with. But I think the I can't buy into this that like coaching doesn't change regardless of what level you're at. Okay, it doesn't. You have your ethos, you have your policies, you have your process, and all of this kind of stuff, right? That team was not playing. Either was not playing for Jody Morris. They might have been lethargic, but I'm not buying into that. After they had just a week of training. He's not gone out he's not gone out into the team and gone, you lot go do fucking laps galore. He's not gone out and do that. No way. He made a fair point. He should be able to pick a fit player. Okay. But he's not gone out. We've got one of the best sports science teams in the league. Okay. So, and we've got one of the best nutrition teams. We've got one of the best physio teams in the league. They've all come out and said that. We've all said that. And we're now saying that we're now one of the unfittest teams in the league. Something doesn't add up. So for me, and I'm trying not to be negative, but if we lose tomorrow, and let's say we do hit a bit of a spiral, at what point are we going to accept that the blame has to lie somewhere? Either the squad isn't good enough, which I think is probably now what it is, because I am excited about Jody Morris's appointment. I think he is going to be the guy to take us forward. I do also think that we got a little bit overexcited as Swindon fans when Gunning came in, because it was really easy for Gunning to go out and attack lads. He had nothing to lose with those 2 games. He was always going to keep his job. So it was really easy for him to just let it go. So I appreciate that Jody's got to be a bit more cautious. I still stand by it that the players are to blame for Saturday's game. As a whole, the players, the quality. We didn't string 3 passes together for the first 35 minutes, even when we were playing it out the back. Royce, that's just from what other people have said. I don't know that for a fact. It's just that I believe our budget is pretty good for our sports scientist team. But I just think that all I want as a fan, yes, okay, I get we want to hear that we're playing for promotion, but what I want to understand is why. All I want is consistent messages between the head coach and the leadership. If they come out and said, look, okay, we are getting hit with injuries, we are getting like this, we're going to do as hard as we can to push in for the playoffs. And I know people are now going to say to me, that's going to drag the gates down. Performances like that on Saturday is what's going to drag the gates down. If you play good attacking football and look like we've actually gone for the game, that's going to bring the attendances up. So I'm not buying into this kind of, they looked lethargic because he's been drilling them in fitness all week. I think they look lethargic because there's something up here. There's something mentally not happening with them at the moment, or they're not good enough. I don't know the answer, but it's just, I think I want to give him time, and of course I'm going to give him time. I wanted to give Scott Lindsay time, but as we've all said, the recurring theme is here, we didn't do stuff early enough, and I think we've kind of almost could have set Jody Morris up to fail because we did stuff so late, in my opinion. We're going into tomorrow, you're missing another centre-back still. I'm guessing we're expecting Clayton to do another 90 minutes after he's just come back off a long-term injury. Hopefully Fraser Blake-Tracy is over his illness now, but it's something's not clicking right. I could sit here and be negative. I want to be positive. I think the squad has the potential to do it. I think Jody Morris has the potential to push us up, but it has to improve 300% on what I saw on Saturday, because that was just awful, and I hadn't even been drinking.
Joe, you've been listening to a lot of points being made there since you had your opening segment. Where do you stand on the game itself and some of the points the guys have made?
Can I just, that comment that was just up there by AC?
Yeah.
That made me laugh. Was it the lower league that referred to us as an incubation team or something?
Our average age is now 22. The average age for the squad is 22.
Oh, okay. What was the question again, Fifey?
Just on the points that some of the guys have made, is there anything in particular you agree or disagree with?
No, I mean, I agree with Woody about, the fitness and things like that. He's not daft, is he? I also, we definitely missed McDonald, definitely, 100%. I know he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, and I even referred to him once as Marmite, but we are missing him, and Gladders as well. We need that sort of strength, don't we? That we clearly haven't got. But no, I mean, you've all summed it up famously. It was very sleepy, lackluster football. I will just say though that with Sandro, I don't know if any of you watched the OSC on the sofa, Monday night on the sofa. He's apparently he's going to be on there apparently. I don't know when it's happening to answer some questions and stuff. But
he said to Vic when he was on a couple of weeks ago that he would do one post-transfer window.
Yeah, so I think we've all got...
We'll see.
I know it's easy for people to go, Sandro this, Sandro that, Sandro the other. If, I'm going to play real devil's advocate now, if he wasn't doing what he was paid to be doing, Clem's not stupid, Clem's not daft, I don't think he'd be there. And I don't. And, they always say, don't they? I don't know if anybody works in data analysis, but you can't mess with data. It is what it is. And people mock him for his spreadsheets and things. And yes, he's not come from a football background. But I don't think it's fair that everyone's just blaming Sandro. And I don't, he's getting these players in that in theory, some of them, not all of them, I know that because the stats on them, are not great. But the players that are coming in, he must be getting the data from somewhere. We've just, he's paid a lot of money to make decisions. And unfortunately, he's not here to defend himself. So I'm not going to comment on Sandro Di Michele.
I've made it perfectly clear he's welcome on Fools Rush in any time for either a one-on-one with me or he can have a group discussion with the panel. I'm sure it would go famously well.
I think
I'll have one-to-one with him.
Fifey, Joe makes a good point though. That he is employed to come in and do a job, and he is given a budget to do that job. So when is the question? And quite not, but when does the question then go back to maybe Clem? Is the budget there? Do you know what I mean? These experienced players cost money, and what concerns me is that we've seen a lot of them leave and not many of them come through the door, and we've seen them replaced by what we would call the cheaper, younger option. That's what we've seen come through the door. So we can't all keep putting it at Sandro's door because he's got someone above him that will be going, well, this is our budget, this is what we're spending, this is what you've got. I don't know what... I always said when Charlie come back through the door, I can't imagine the guy is on a cheap wage. He is not going to be doing it for the love of Swindon Town Football Club. Charlie Austin will not be. So is the McDonald going and is the Gladwin going there to balance the Charlie Austin wage? You know what I mean? Is that because those two would have been on a fair whack as well?
Well, if that's the reason, then either Sandro or Clem or Rob Angus, they don't understand football because you're trying to solve one problem and then you're creating another two. It's one step forward, two steps back. And you raise a really good point. You raise a really good point. Maybe. Just to give us, you're probably right. What was I mean, and you're quite right in saying, we need to start questioning about Clem as well because he sets the budget. Although we were told at the beginning of the season this was going to be a promotion budget, weren't we? We were told this. So whatever that means, I don't know.
Clem, because what he's done for the club and what he's shown, and with what he's done with the debt and what he's done in the community, is great things for a place like Swindon. I think he's top what he's done. But when we keep slating it and Clem keeps getting all the credit, and then when something bad happens, it's someone else to blame. It's there's got to be questions asked. You know what I mean? And when we're seeing, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, when you see our captain and our vice captain leaving the same window, that is massively concerning. You know what I mean? You why those two players gone? You get rid of one, but you at least keep the other.
I personally think that when it comes from above the head coach role, we've got people who don't understand the football side of it. We've got people like Clem and Rob Angus. They understand the business side, getting all the sponsorships in, brilliant. Anything to do with extra revenue, nobody can complain about that. As much as we take the piss saying, "Oh, another sponsorship."
We had more January sponsors in than we had players.
But you know, and again, I'm coming back to Sandro here, but you know, his football experience is minimal. It is. He came from a gambling background, which is, you know, data driven, obviously. But I don't believe that Clem understands the football side of it. I don't think Rob Angus understands the football side of it. And I don't think that Sandro does. And that's why we're in the position we are. We need somebody above the head coach role who has actually had experience as a director of football or a CEO or anything like that. But yeah, that's so it is a bigger problem maybe than just Sandro, which is, you know, that's a fair point. And I've always said that a lot of the players, not just recently, but under Lindsay, had to take responsibility for some of their performances as well. So yeah, there are bigger. I think that personally that there are bigger problems behind the scenes than maybe they're not letting us on to.
So there's a couple of sorry, Woody, go on.
I can tell you the reason we're not getting rid of Sandro is because we can't afford to get rid of him. That guy will be in a ridiculously decent contract. He's come from the gambling industry where they have stupid clauses in their contracts. He knew what he was doing. We can't afford to sack him. That's the only reason we're not getting rid of him. If he's failing his objectives, you know, I'm going to let people into a little bit of thing. I've been a HR consultant for a football club that have tried to get rid of a senior member of staff, and it ain't cheap. It is not cheap. So I'm not. I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to get sacked anyway because he's necessarily failing, because they're basing it on the end of the season. But we can't afford to sack him. That's the only reason why he won't go anytime soon. We need to fail in his objectives before we sack him.
So there's a couple. Sorry, would you finish your point? Sorry.
I was just saying, and he's as it stands, because we're halfway through the season, I don't think he'll have an objective that says we need to be XYZ position before you know, at midway point of the season. So that's the reason we won't be getting rid of him until at least the end of the season. That's if he is to blame. I'll be the first one, and I'm sure Craig will join me on this. That if we do go up, if we do something this season, fair play. He's got it all spot on. You know, I'll be the first one to apologise to him directly if I need to. But yeah, the talk of like, yeah, okay, I agree, Joe. Maybe there's something maybe a little bit more going on. And there is a collective. Like I say, Sandro isn't responsible for the players' mentality on Saturday. But yeah, the reason he ain't going anywhere is because we can't afford to get rid of him.
There's still a couple more things with regards to the game I'd like to touch on, but there was a moment a minute or two ago where Wazza and Craig were kind of talking over each other and it got a bit distorted. And many listeners, including the comment from Mike, have got a bit confused at what Wazza may have said about Charlie Austin.
I said a punt, not a yes. I said he was a punt, not a yes. You know where I'm going.
Wow. Well, thank you for clearing that one up. Nick, we're all in typical Swindon fashion. Something hasn't gone our way and we're being very defeatist about it. Are we forgetting to maybe give Doncaster a bit of respect, or is it more our fault we lost than their fault they won?
I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. That first 20 minutes, Donny pressed us really well. They had two forwards up there who cut down supply from the back. We were playing the short goal kicks to defenders who had nowhere to go because they were being put under pressure. We were lucky a couple of times that we didn't give the ball away in our own penalty area, that they pressed really well. So, yeah, credit to them for that. But it was a really strange performance in that we had players like in the midfield. I mean, our passing stats must be really high because you're getting a midfielder passing it to another one, and then he was getting it straight back, and it's like, well, what the hell am I going to do with it now? I've just given it to you. You give it to me back. Then he gives it to another one back, and it's like you're going nowhere. Their centre half had more driving runs from the back than our team combined, and he gaps opened up, and he just walked through the whole lot. So yeah, it was a very strange performance. But the other thing I like to pick up on, I mean, I didn't get to my seat until basically kickoff time because I was running late. But the atmosphere is just really, really strange. I mean, I don't know what it was like pre-kickoff, the sort of the 30 minutes, 15 minutes before the game. But throughout the game, considering that we've got over 10,000 people in there, there's something wrong. And I think it goes further. People have said, well, what's going on at the club? We hardly hear anything from Clem nowadays. We don't hear anything from Rob Angus, which probably isn't a surprise because it's probably not his job to be the front man.
No, but let's be fair, just on that point. I mean, Joe was saying quite rightly, as kind of Woody said, Sandro gets a lot of stick. And one of the reasons for that is because, with the utmost respect intended, he is piss poor at public relations, but he's the one that keeps facing up to it.
Yeah, and I was going to come on to that. The only one we've heard from is Sandro, as you said, who then gets all the stick because he's not the best person to do that. But there is no atmosphere there. Whether it's I don't know how to explain it. It was dire, and the performance overall. Somebody near me commented, and I hope it's not. He said, "Looks like a typical Jose Mourinho performance." Sit back, kill the opposition, don't go anywhere, keep it defensive, and hope for the best. And it seemed it was like that. And if we keep playing Blake Tracy at centre half, as good a player as he is, we're just wasting him. He needs to be, and I've drummed on about it time and time again. He needs to be left back. And I'd rather have Minton in there at centre half, who's got a bit about him, who gets stuck in, who's an athletic player. He can tackle. To me, he could do a job. So yeah, I think behind the scenes there's probably more going on than we know, and that's coming down to the fans, and it's really, really quiet. So
Woody, I could see you and Joe instantly started laughing when I flashed this comment up.
I just found it funny. I don't know why. I found it funny, and I probably should have, to be fair.
It was the sausage dog bit that got me.
I mean, I expect his running stats are really high because he was chasing the ball like a headless chicken, going from one side to the other and not even getting anywhere near it. Now, whether he was just trying to over-impress, which I guess he probably was, but football-wise, sadly, he did nothing.
He was a bit redundant on Saturday, wasn't he? To be honest.
Yeah.
Does anyone think that maybe, and I'm not criticising for having the minute silence because obviously it's something that we should have had, but it just seemed that after the minute silence, the atmosphere, it just seemed to kill the atmosphere for me. Does anyone else think that?
It killed it in the town end because for the first 15 minutes, everybody was shouting at the stewards to kick somebody out, and that was about as entertaining as it got because it was just
right.
I don't know. I think somebody spoke up during the minute silence or something. Someone shouted in the minute silence, and then it just burst into an argument.
Yeah, because I caught it just after the minutes, just before the minute silence started, and it just seemed that since then it was it was absolutely dire. It was a very strange atmosphere, but maybe it was like that before the minute silence. I don't know, but I just was wondering whether that had an impact, and then the crowd just never really got going after that.
Gary, I wanted to try and avoid it, but as we're on to fans and atmosphere, there was a moment post-match which has had a fair amount of attention. Now, I will ask you what your initial reaction to the video was first before I come on to it in a bit more detail.
I thought it was a bit bizarre, but why someone's calling out Jolie Austin like that, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously gone over to have a pot back. I don't know what was being said, how much booing was going on. I'd already left the ground by that point, to be honest. I was done. But it all seemed a bit bizarre. Very, very strange.
No, it's an interesting situation, this, because for the most part, the majority of Swindon fans, as seen in the video, cheering on Charlie, calling out their own fan for whatever they perceive to have happened. I did actually see a couple of fans on Twitter saying, as much as, you know, he probably shouldn't be having a go at Charlie, fans pay their money, and as it was said earlier, and it was mentioned on OSC as well, they pay a lot of money to watch Swindon, and what they are being served up is not value for that money, and it's not like, you know, money is easy to come by in the current climate. So there is a certain tolerance to voicing an opinion. Now, as it happens, knowing who the supporter was in that video, I asked if there was a point that wanted to be made to clear it up, because it's gone viral. All the different Facebook pages, the Sun have been reporting about it. Swindon Adver were calling out their own fans because of it. And well, actually, Craig, that's not unlike the Adver, is it, to call out their fans? Do you want to pick up on that one quick?
Yeah. Well, it was the it wasn't the Adver, to be fair. It was a reporter from the Adver on his personal Twitter. I mean, I can quote it for you word for word. He has deleted it, to be fair, so I don't want to encourage a pile on for him, but I think what he said was just outrageous and out of order. He said 2 losses in a row, and Charlie Austin, who has delivered, is already defending himself to fans. 2 managers who are successful, Garner and Lindsay, fallen victim to unrealistic expectations. When will fans consider they're part of the barrier blocking success? Now, I've got 2, I need to break that down into 2 things. Firstly, Charlie Austin is one of the few players who walks around the whole pitch to applaud, and he often does it on his own, from what I've seen in games. So that's why he does it. So as he's walking around, of course, some people are going to call over to him. And from what I could gather, the guy wasn't shouting abuse. He was just saying this was rubbish. It was unacceptable. And a few others were saying things need to improve, which, you know, that's fair enough. There's nothing wrong in saying that. But yeah, the whole thing, Tyler covered this on the Loathed Strangers. 2 managers who were successful, Garner and Lindsay. Well, I would argue for both of them, whether they were successful or not. Fallen victim to unrealistic expectations. Well, both of them left on their own accord, didn't they? So that's not the fans' fault that Garner and Lindsay left. You might say, oh, yeah, you know, obviously people were calling for Lindsay to go, but certainly Garner, he fucked off the first chance he could get as soon as he got a good offer. And so, yeah, it was just a really bizarre thing to write. And I think it just I don't know the guy, and I'm not trying to have a pop at him, but it just sounds like somebody who doesn't follow the club very much, doesn't really know it. You know, it's it was a very bizarre thing to say, but to say that the fans are the barrier blocking success after we've been getting 10,000 fans a week at home for the last 2 seasons. This club has been incredibly well supported since Clem has taken over. So I think anybody,
away ends all up and down the country.
Yeah, away support, financial support, people, you know, paying into the club their hard-earned money. To turn around and say that fans are part of the barrier for blocking success is absolutely outrageous, and I think it's an idiotic thing to say.
Let's be fair. The fans have kept this club afloat with Clem. You know, we came in and bought all these 3rd shirts, 2nd shirts. You know, all the money that was the season ticket money that was deferred, and we didn't have that back. There was so much money that we let go back into the club as fans. Yes, Clem's come in and done the business side of it and got rid of the debt. He's done well, but the fans have done their part of this as well.
Yeah, and just to add into that, as Joe will know, you know, sponsorships as well. We mentioned that we've never had so many sponsors at the club. I mean, even for Fools Rush In, we've put our own money in, but we've got sponsors in the men's and women's teams. So he is really there, Kieran. Get one show has become 2 shows. Fear not. On the original point, so the message that I've had regarding this, because as I say, it's been all over the place. Every time I turn on Twitter, someone else has shared the video about Charlie Austin confronting town fans, it was originally called. And then even the Sun, everyone obviously loves the Sun. Charlie Austin confronts furious fan and leaves crowd in stitches with response. Now, I've watched this video a few times, and the only thing you can actually hear is the funny bit where he says, "What are you going to do in half an hour? You're going to be having a beer or a Chinese." Again, in answer to Mike's question, I don't know if he had the Chinese. I will ask. But the message I got, so I asked for clarity on what actually happened, and the reply came, "He didn't confront me. I called him over." You can hear him openly say about how shit we were. And then he got the crowd on his side and stopped talking to me. It wasn't actually an angry exchange. It wasn't a pleasant exchange, but you understand my point. Basically, as far as I can gather from the message, he's not been happy with the performance. He's expressed that displeasure, and as was made a point earlier, Charlie was walking around the pitch on his own and has taken it to obviously respond to that, which is absolutely fine. Because, I mean, I wasn't there. I can't comment on the actual words used. I don't believe Charlie was singled out for a shit performance. I think it was asked as the most experienced member of the team, probably wearing the armband at the time as well, I imagine. Why were we so shit, basically? And he said, yeah, we were shit, but, what do you want me to do about it? At the end of the day, he's one man. So I think it's been blown way out of proportion, personally. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I wasn't there. I can't comment. But from what I've seen in terms of the 2 different video footage angles that have been shared online and from the message I've had from the person involved, I don't think it's quite as national newsworthy as some tabloids have decided to make it. That's for sure.
I think as well, what really happened was Charlie, he wasn't necessarily on his own because there was a couple of others that were kind of drifting, but Charlie was one of the last to leave. And I think it kind of, I don't know whether said person actually called him over, but he was obviously intrigued. Charlie is that type of character anyway. He'll do you know what? In some ways, I quite like that he did that. I know some people will say it's out of order for a captain or whatever. I actually quite like that. He's actually pretty much gone up to our fans and said, look, we played shit. We know we played shit. And gone from there and stayed very relaxed because, Charlie of whatever, when he was with us before, yesteryear, that Charlie's in the crowd. I think in some ways I kind of think, you know what? It's probably quite refreshing to have a player that's just not gone kind of clapped, sarcastically, if you like, and then just walked very slowly into the changing rooms with their heads dropped, ready to get onto Instagram. It's kind of, he's actually, I kind of say fair play to him in some ways. He's that for me is almost on par with when Gladwin came out after that performance. I can't remember who it was against, but that, probably his last.
The post match.
Colchester,
Colchester, that for me was kind of on par with that for me. Fair play to him. He's and it's not like he's gone like you remember when Wayne Rooney faced into the thing and went booing your own fans or whatever it was. I don't know. I think it was an England game, wasn't it? Many years ago now. Okay. It's not like he's slagged off the fans or anything like that. He's answered them and he has stuck up for his team whilst also criticising them and saying it's not good enough at the same time. So I think fair play in some ways.
Yeah, I've got no problem with it at all, personally. Okay, we've done, just over an hour on what can only really be described as a bit of a shit show in the end on Saturday. Unless anyone's got any further points to make, should we look ahead instead of backwards?
Yes.
Yes, lovely. There's a game tomorrow. We get a quick opportunity to put it all behind us. And we are... obviously, Wazza, I'll start with you. We're obviously in great shape with almost the whole squad unavailable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brilliant.
I've
It doesn't
got
look
it.
like
I've
we're
got
going to be
it.
getting too.
No, exactly. I have got it set up here. It might not come across too clearly on the screen, but there's the quote from the adverse. So Williams out with concussion. Still no Tomlinson, no Shade, no Lavinia. We know Hepburn Murphy still suspended as well. So yeah, there's a fair few issues to address.
I can see 3 centre halves tomorrow. I think the way that Sutton play football, I think they'll be chucking balls in the box, and I can see that we'll want to put an extra centre half back in there. I think it'll give a chance to push our fullbacks higher and hopefully create some chances for us. But I think we're going to have to have energy, and a one player back tomorrow that will help us with that is Khan. I think Khan will be a big impact tomorrow.
Also liable for a red card, though.
I don't mind that. For me,
you don't mind a red card?
A busy player that he gets around. He makes challenges. Well, no, but I don't mind the way that he got the red cards is through challenges, because he's a combative midfielder. Do you know what I mean? He puts himself about. He doesn't shy away from a challenge. I don't think the head coach bounce on Mike. But I think we'll have an energetic player back in the middle of that part that's going to get around the pitch and maybe make things happen for us. So I think Khan will be a big plus. Like I said, I think 3 centre halves need to come back in, and I think he needs to work it where we forget these 2 wide players either side of Austin. Someone needs to be up there with Charlie to get up against these centre halves that are no doubt going to be 6 foot plus and be able to head, kick. You know what I mean? So they need to get someone up there. Whether I don't have a preference to whether it's Jeffcott or Wakelin, one of the two will be fine for me.
Adeloy.
Or Adeloy. Yes, very true. That could be the one. But
Everyone keeps ruling him out, but I stand by the fact he is the only one to score in the Morris regime.
Yeah, you can have that, Fifey, till tomorrow. But a change of system's got to happen for me. I think there'll be a reaction. I just naturally think there will. I don't think the criticism that the players have had, the criticism that probably from some that Morris has had, I feel like it'll be a tough one tomorrow night. We all know it will, because we know the Sutton style of play. They'll put balls into our box. They'll make us defend. They'll be up for it. They'll contest every second ball. It's going to be difficult, but we need a reaction, and whether that means that reaction will get us 3 points, I don't know. But there's got to be where it swings for Morris. The first game he was unlucky against Newport with the red card early. This one yesterday, Saturday, write it off for me now. And there's got to be that it will turn, and hopefully it'll be tomorrow night.
Okay. I appreciate we've only just come on to the preview of tomorrow, Gary, but it does link in. There was a word used earlier in one of the comments. It's too far back for me to scroll now, about censorship at STFC. And, we're never afraid to ask the questions, because we know none of us actually have the answers. But if we look at this, so we've got the situation ongoing with Ward since he left Sutton. Nobody's really commenting on that. We've still got the what is a divine question. Nobody's really answering that, among a lot of other things. I heard what's the gentleman's name that was on the OSC? Andrew Hawes. He said he was going to ask the Sutton people what exactly was going on with Ward tomorrow when he gets there. But do you think there is a censorship at Swindon Town, or do you think we will start to get answers? I mean, it's become something of a parody joke for us now, as you know, about Tommy and the fact that I will keep saying he should play. But again, I think John commented earlier, do we think that these players are down to they get appearance fees and bonuses for playing, and that's why they're not playing them?
Well, firstly, who's doing the talking at the moment at the club? I mean, Clem's coming and going. We're not hearing from him very rarely. Sandro's the man they wheel out when they do anything that's official and says what answers he wants to give. We never hear from Robangus anymore, so I don't really know what part he's playing in this club. So in terms of information we get from the club and these sort of players and Divine and whatever else, it's where's the information coming from?
What is a divine, Gary?
I don't know. Injured, apparently. Injured, permanently injured.
He's permanently injured.
I mean, he's worse than Tomlinson.
Milan Misan.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that's going on. But in terms of the players, I mean, Adebayo is, like you said, he scored. He's not going to get. I don't expect to get any game time tomorrow because they seem to be playing the youngsters ahead of him because they think they get money for youngsters. So we'll get them some minutes in the legs rather than put on something that will change the game. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one where these players are not just disappearing into the ethos. Some of them never to be seen again, potentially.
And what are you expecting from tomorrow then, Gary?
If we take the point, I think it'd be good. Personally,
Okay.
I don't like the idea of Khan's being defensive. I don't like Khan as a defensive midfielder. I prefer him on the
No,
turn.
I've said this times. He is not a defensive midfielder.
No, so if you sit him back there, you're risking it again. Who sits behind him, I don't know. Kane maybe, or the other young lad from Bristol. I don't know. But I prefer him up front, a bit more pushing up front and sort of getting the ball and turning, driving on it. Yeah, I mean, I think a point will be good tomorrow.
Okay. Paddy's tweeted in, hate to say it, but I can see a 2-1 defeat. That'll lump it. They'll lump it in and be physical. Joe, are you expecting Swindon to face a physical battle tomorrow? And if so, are we up to the challenge?
I don't know. I think, well, I haven't got the same pre-match feeling that I had on Saturday. And I even called that we'd lose 2-0, which...
Oh, so it was your fault?
It is all my fault. You know, haircut.
Sorry, Sandro.
Sorry, Sandro.
No, I wore a different shirt. So I wore my purple one, and I've never worn it before. I had my hair cut, and I called it, and everything happened. So
these things come in threes, Joe.
I know. I did actually. Sorry to go back a little bit, but another good positive that came out of Saturday was my hugs off Nick. Oh, look, see. There you go. 2. I have 2. Anyway,
we're balancing that out with a negative as we get this comment in. I refuse to bet on it.
He did. He refused. He said, I'm not betting against Swindon. I was okay. But no, I think it's going to be difficult. I will take the point, definitely. Or what has been known to happen previously, we get absolutely, come out and on all cylinders blazing, and we pull a miracle out the bag. Who knows?
But it's a very, very good point. Something I actually said earlier, again, when I was watching the Monday night panel, Ben, is this reeks of Northampton all over again.
Well, you hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think there will be, after they'll all sit around and watch the video of the disaster on Saturday. I think there'll be a lot of shouting, there'll be a lot of pointing, there'll be a lot of soul searching, there'll be a lot of blaming. And then I think Morris will say this is right, this is the line, we've drawn it. We don't ever go back there again. This is the beginning now. And I think we're going to change the team. I think we're going to see lots of changes in personnel going into the game. I think we're going to see a change in formation. And I think we're going to have a sort of a different attitude going into the game now. So I think, right, this is it. The season starts here, because that was shit. And that never happens again. And I hope that they go into that game with that sort of mentality.
Yeah.
As much as I do like what you say there, Ben, the only issue I have with that is if that's the team talk, for example, we will be on the 14th of February. The season doesn't start now. The season is 3/4 of the way through.
But Morris wasn't here for the first part of the season.
Okay.
For him, the season starts here because I've seen you now. I've been here a week. I've seen 2 games. I've been here 7 games. I've been here 7-8 days. I've seen 2 games. First game was we got a player sent off in the first 15 minutes. So it threw everything out the window. Second game, I had a full week's prep, and you were bollocks. So that's not happening again. The season starts here. Here we go.
Before I ask Craig his views ahead, Joe, you've been a fan of pointing out the heights of certain people within the Swindon Town squad. So we've had this comment. Let's be fair to Kanu. He's shown something in training, has been given minutes in return. So fair play to the pint-sized lad.
Yeah, he's very short, isn't he? God, that sounded awful. I'm not shorties. I promise.
You hate shorties.
I'm not. I don't hate shorties. No, yeah, looks good. I think from what I've seen so far. Again, I know somebody posted earlier and said that it's not about what. Oh yeah, you know, they'll come good, or you know, they'll develop into a really good player and blah blah blah. Because we need good players now. But yeah, one to watch, I reckon. Yeah. What's happened to Slick Rick? Because he's back, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know why he's not featuring at all.
I don't either.
Probably because he's training with Tony Adaloy. he's over that side of the training pitch where you can get the fuck away from the pitch.
See, I'm with you, Fifey, with Adaloy. I am. I think I like him. I rate him. So I'm on that side.
I think there's a player there. I definitely think there's a player there.
I just think he needs to be given the opportunity because you see, yeah, I like that Dylan. Yeah,
Kaji.
I like him. He's got a right pair of spider legs on him. You know, he's sort of like he reminds me of Khan, because we always say Khan's got like spider legs. They're just here, there, and everywhere. And he's very similar, but I think he's got more composure. I think.
Okay.
I think he needs an older player next to him.
Yeah.
Do you know who would have been ideal, Ben?
Yeah, I'd probably say Ben Gladwin. But no, he don't. I think
Well
the
done,
biggest
Ben.
problems over the weekend is you had Kane with 25 games in his whole career, who probably put in about a good performance as really ever has done this season.
Agreed.
And then you've got Kaji next to him, who's played 20 minutes for Bristol City and on Saturday, last Saturday. So it's I think that might be a bit of a problem last week.
Sorry, Mike's just put Joe likes Adaloy because he's about 5'10", so he's tall by STFC standards.
Thanks, Mike.
Khan does make a difference tomorrow. You'd rather him in the squad, and he's combative, and he's got a driving force, and he's direct. So hopefully they can play a double pivot with Kane, and they work well together. We shall see.
So you're excluding Kaji from the squad there?
Yeah, he's on the bench for me because he starts on the bench.
Yes, he's on the bench because he starts on the bench.
Yes,
lovely.
That's my opinion.
That is super punditry there, Ben.
Yeah, because Kane could go on the right and Kane could go on the left. Khan could go on the right. Can't get my teeth right.
Kane can't, but Kane.
Yeah, and I think they'll complement each other quite well. I think Kaji is good cover for Khan.
Kieran. Craig, what are you expecting from the opposition tomorrow? Well, is it going to be a stereotypical "this is what we think of Sutton" performance?
Well, I remember the game when they came to us, and we weren't great, but they found it. We know what Will Randall can do. He cut through us very easily, didn't he? He got 2 goals.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're it's going to be tough, and they're on a really good run of form at the moment. Their last 10 games, they've only lost 2, won 5, got 18 points out of 30. Sorry, I'm doing a little mini Ned report. Whereas we've only won 3 of our last 10. We've only got 11 points out of 30. So they're obviously on the up. We're on a downward spiral, and we have to win tomorrow. It's as simple as that. We have to win. A point's not going to be great because the longer we go without a win, the more our season's just going to tail off and come to nothing. Their home form has been really good. Last 5 games, they've won 4, drawn 1, and beaten in their last 5 games at home. So it's going to be incredibly tough, I think. We know what Davison can do. He's going to cause our defenders problems. He may not be on fire. He's only got 8 goals this season. But, regardless of what people thought...
Our top goal scorer's only got 8 goals this season.
Well, yeah. But regardless of what people thought of him last season, and I thought he did well, he will cause our defence problems, especially if they're off the pace like they were on Saturday. I think I don't care what formation we play as long as it's 2 up front. from now until the end of the season, we need to play 2 up front. And
who would be your preferred partner for? Because I'm assuming Austin gets one of those spots. So who would be your preferred partner?
Say it, Craig. Just say it. Make him happy.
Wakeling. It's got to be Wakeling. No, I don't think Jeff Cott. No, if we're sort of going for this whole thing of developing our own players, I think Wakeling needs to be up next to Austin, and I think he'll be better for it as a front 2 rather than playing wide like he has done. But yeah, obviously, if we don't play 2 up front, I don't think we'll get a result. I think we'll struggle to get a draw. To be honest, I like the look of Khan, Kane, and the City lads in a midfield 3. Kadji, sorry. My only concern is where's the creativity going to come from in that midfield. I think Hutton's going to be key, but he showed on Saturday that if you nullify him, he can pretty much go missing. So I'm pretty sure that if Sutton are on the ball watching Saturday's game, which I'm sure they would have done, they'll be looking at that and thinking they can do a job on Hutton. So I am really concerned about that. Maybe the new signing we made today, McEachran, it sounds like that could be the type of role that he could play to maybe, create the chances that the front 2 need. Who knows? But going back to Kane, I'm worried that we're putting too much on him, thinking that he's going to be a class act, he's brilliant, and all this and everything. We haven't really seen much of him. He hasn't played that many games, and he played on Saturday in a game where he was okay, but he wasn't brilliant. Now, I said this in our group chat, as you guys know. His performances from now until the end of the season and going into next season, but not only his performances, but that defensive midfielder position is going to be key to whether we go up or not this season. And if we don't go up for next season, we saw it with Louis Reed. Louis Reed was our player of the season last season for good reason, because he was key for that role. And we've been playing the wrong person there, Khan. We know Khan's not a defensive midfielder. He needs to be further up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Kane develops. But I don't want it to be like, people putting pressure on him, and then if he has a couple of bad games, he's shit all of a sudden. He needs to be given time in the role. And if he comes good, then brilliant. That could turn around our season. But yeah, I am worried about the creativity. Obviously, we haven't got Williams either, so it's going to be a very, very tough game, I think, on Tuesday. But like I said, it's one that we have to win. We have to win it.
Just before I come to you, Nick, to answer Nigel's comment here. Yes, Davison is at Wombles. Not really sure what that has to do with us playing Sutton, though.
Because Craig was saying Davison.
Craig was mentioning about Davison.
Sorry. I don't know why I played before. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Well, don't worry, Craig. You had me checking Google. I was like, is he signed for Sutton all of a sudden?
Oh, Craig, you need to get back on the wine.
Yeah, I know. I've just been on the tea tonight, haven't I? I'll be on the wine. I'll be on the wine tomorrow.
John's saying that it's Swindon's own Will Randall that's going to ruin the night tomorrow. Midfield was held up by Payne. And then, yeah, Mike's done it properly. Can Kane, Khan, Kadji and Kanu quickly kick critical chances? Oh, for God's sake. Ben, say that 3 times quickly.
No.
Nick, let's come to you then. What are you expecting from tomorrow? And could we see George McEachran in the squad? Could he even start?
I don't think he'll start. I think he'll be definitely in the squad, but I can't see him starting. I'd agree with Craig for a midfield 3 of the Kane, the Khan, and the Kadji, just to make it difficult for whoever's commentating on the game. That'll be fun. I sort of gone down the list of fixtures coming up, and I've put down it's a likely draw, but it'll be typical Swindon that we'll go there and we'll beat them. You can see it a mile off. As Craig said, they've been on a decent run of form. They don't lose many at home. They're a tough side. They're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be physical, but I can see it being a typical Swindon. And as we did last season, I mean, if we could score a couple of worldies like we did last season, although we haven't got the two players that scored them, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't win the game. So, but my prediction would be a draw. But I'd say I wouldn't put money on us winning it, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
All right, Nick, we haven't asked for predictions yet. Ben, let's give your thoughts. What do you think? What are you expecting to see?
I'm expecting to see an improvement in performance. I'm expecting to see us just to be a lot better than we've seen previously. I'm expecting to be a tight game, a bit of a scrap. And I'm hoping that we can get all three. I'm hoping.
Lovely. Can you go on a little bit longer, Ben, until Piper's back?
Okay, no worries. I'm just hoping for a lot more. I'm excited to see what this new guy could come off when he comes on the bench. Apparently, he's been training with the squad already, so hopefully he is fairly fittish. It's good to see that he's also worked under Morris before. It is a Morris signing. He's quite keen to get him in, so it should be good, especially if Williams injured as well. I'm looking at change formation as well. I'd like to see a three at the back. I'd like to see a little bit more protection at the back there and have Ian Dollar pushed out wide onto the wings. Because I think he's a better, more effective as a left wing back as he is the left back, where I think he's bloody awful. I think we'll have two pivots, defensive pivots in Kane and Khan, and I think the attacking midfielder will probably be Darcy, which hopefully will suit him, because I don't think he's played number 10 many times this season. So hopefully he can press on and actually run with the ball into the box rather than run like endless chicken 40 yards from the goal, which would be quite good. Oh, we have 5 you back. I'll shut up now.
Oh, I had a follow-up question ready for Joe as well, just in case. I'd actually prepared. So, Joe, just on that aspect then, obviously, Sutton have got this kind of stereotype that they are a long ball who fit team, kind of. I don't think they are. I think they are a play through the middle kind of. Yeah, they've got a really handy winger in Will Randall. They create a lot of opportunities if you look at their stats. With that midfield three, if say it is Kaji, Kane and Khan, if it is those three, or if you think there's a different three, do you think that three will have the cutting edge to stop any attacks coming through the middle?
I think they'll have a damn good go. Why wouldn't you? They're all hungry and gutsy and eager to do well. So I can't see why they wouldn't have a go. Are they capable? I don't know. I haven't seen them play enough.
Joe, do you think this squad is bulky and ballsy enough?
No.
Just in a word, no.
No.
No bulk, no balls. Where's Anthony Grant? He had lots of bulk and balls.
God.
No, in fairness, so when Jake Wakeling came in, he's getting stronger, so you can see when he's gaining for tackles, or you can see he's physically being a bit more of a bull in a china shop sort of thing, and it's quite clear that that's the case. That's what's happened this season. But yeah, there's not much, is there? We haven't got much height or brawn. Let's use that word, brawn.
Let's use it indeed. Okay, the time has come then for predictions for tomorrow. And I'm going to start in the top of the screen as you appear. So, Woody, you get to go first this evening.
I can't remember who mentioned it, but I actually agree that it feels like it's set up for us to go down there and absolutely smash them. But it's no. In all seriousness, I do think I think we will win. It's what we want. We want a reaction. I think Wazza said it perfectly earlier that the players will react, hopefully. And as Ben said, I'm just going to check that I did have a cup of tea there, because I agree with Ben. That they hopefully they have sat down, they've looked at and just said, look, we've got to improve on so many basic things. So if that happens, if we go with the right attitude, let's go 2-0 win.
Ooh.
Okay. Gary, please make it good in case it's another 2 years until you appear again. What's the prediction, please, sir?
I'll try and do better. Must do better.
Must have-
I'll go for a better improved performance. I'd love to say we're going to win, but I think there'll be a 1-1 draw. And then the pressure on to Salford.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, I've said it would be typical Swindon that we go there and beat them, but I honestly can't see it. I'm going to go for a 2-2 again.
2-2. Okay, lovely. Craig?
Yeah, I mean, I was
Craig, sorry, I just have to say, I'm surprised you haven't changed your name back. You've just left it there for the whole episode.
It's on my phone. I can't be asked because it means I'm touching it and doing all that shit. So
He knows it's true.
There forever now.
it is.
And then his
It's all,
bathroom just apply like
it's all true. You know. Yeah. I just. Yeah. I don't want to go grey. So. Yeah. I mean, I did have us down for a defeat, but once I realised that Davison has transferred to Wimbledon, I've put us down for a draw instead. So yeah. I'm going to go the same as one show, and yeah, 1-1 draw. I'd love to see us win. If we do, brilliant. But I think it's going to be a tough one.
Joe?
The old favourite 2-1 Town.
Lovely. Ben?
Oh, I was quite pessimistic earlier today, but I'm actually feeling a bit optimistic now. So I'm going to say a nail-biting 1-0 Swindon. We'll survive penalty shouts, goal well scrambles, long throws, all that sort of thing. And we'll just about see it home after 98 minutes. 1-0.
Wow. Very, very specific. I like it, Ben. Well, I would be next. So I'm going to say... Do you know what? I'll go 2-0 Town. Why not? Let's do this. Wazza?
No, I think it'll all come together tomorrow. I think 3-1. I think we'll score some goals. I think it's going to all come together and it'll be all hunky dory. So 3-1 Town tomorrow.
Going on a title charge. Come on.
Well, no, because the problem is, Ben, as we pointed out, if we do win tomorrow, we definitely don't beat Salford.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
With our lack of back-to-back wins. Okay, they asked the question on OSC earlier, so I'm going to put it to you as well before we announce our groundbreaking news. But I'll go in reverse order. So, Wazza, are the playoffs still achievable?
100%. Every team in this league, even if you look above, I was one of those at the start of the season. Where was Stockport at the start of the season? First 10, 15 games, they were absolutely nowhere. And they've come from absolutely nowhere, gone on a run. I can't see any reason with giving Morris a couple of weeks like he's had just to work with what he's got and see what he can do. I can't see no reason why we can't go on a run and make it happen. I do personally think the top three is massively too far gone. It would be a miracle, but the playoffs, we're still well within the pack, and I don't see any reason why we're not challenging at the end of it.
Okay, Craig?
It's possible, but not probable.
Fair enough.
It is achievable. Obviously, it's achievable, and I'm not going to give up until it's mathematically impossible. But I'm sorry, I just don't really fancy our chances.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Not like you to be negative, Craig.
I said earlier, we think we could just finish outside, but say on average, you need 73 points to finish seventh. And for us to get 72 points, we need 8 wins in 6 draws. And that's a big ask. Of course, it's doable. If we can get on a run like we did at the end of last season, what was it? The last 4 or 5 games we won to get into that final spot. Yeah, of course it's there, and hopefully Morris can get them fired up enough that they do what he wants, they play how he wants them to play, and it clicks together. But I do think these next 2 games will give us a truer indication of where we're at, because after that we've got Harrogate at home, and then we've got Orient and Carlisle. That's two other teams in the Carlisle are in the top 3 now, I think. So that's 2 more really hard games. So it's it's doable, but it's I'm sort of sitting on the fence a bit, but it is doable.
Okay, Gary.
Yeah, mathematically, yeah, it is. We can still do it. Performance-wise, got to see a lot better. Massive improvement needed, but
yeah,
till it's mathematically impossible, then yeah, we're still in with the shout.
Okay, Woody.
Yeah, same as Gary. It's mathematically possible, so I'll still believe we can do it. I really got to check this tee because I do kind of agree with Ben's statement on the chat that at the end of the day, a bad run does have to come to an end at some point, and likewise a good run has to start. So has this team got it? Potentially. I think I agree with Nick that the next 2 games. I get Waz's point about giving Morris time, and I will give him time. But I think these next 2 games are bigger than we think, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Ben?
Yeah, well, mathematically showing we're only 3 points off the playoffs, so we're still well in with the shout. So realistically, yes. Whether we can, I don't know. Time will tell. We do need to string some results together, though.
Okay, Joe.
Absolutely. What's wrong with you all?
Well done, Joe. Good on you.
That's exactly why I was saving Joe till last.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to get there, and I think it's all going to turn. It's all going to turn round. You've got to have faith, and you have. And I've got my positive pants firmly pulled right up. And yes, we're going to get to playoffs.
Yes,
lovely. Glad to hear it. One last. Oh, actually, no, not one last thing. Because I realised, Woody, we didn't touch on, and I'm sure they probably don't want us to, but we haven't actually mentioned the women's result of the weekend. We spoke on Friday about them going to Money Fields, wasn't it? Unfortunately, they came away. They'd scored a couple, but came away with a 4-2 defeat.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a tough game, which is what I kind of expected. As I said, Moneyfields are a good side. They're in that kind of top 4 region now, which is better than what I thought they were going to do this season. But based on what they've done this season, I'm not surprised now. Mm-hmm. I think the development team lost as well. I think they lost 4-0. So not a great weekend for the Swindon teams, unfortunately. But it's like them. Every good run has to come to an end at some stage. So it's it is a shame. But I think looking at what's around them, realistically, our top half finish is still kind of gonna be the end, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes, and Cat back on the score sheet. It was nice to see Annie Colston not being the only one on the score sheet.
So I mentioned that we had some news, and I'll be honest, this is something we threw together relatively quickly. This could be an absolute shit show, but it could also be excellent. And in true Fools Rushing fashion, we're just going to do it and see. So tomorrow, obviously, a number of fans will be watching from home. And as such, we would like to invite you to the first ever Fools Rushing Soccer Tuesday watch-along. As myself, Nick, Craig, Mark, and Ned will all be on a stream just like this. Obviously, we're not allowed to show the game, but we'll all have the game on from home. And we will just basically be letting you watch us watch it. And basically, you're going to see me throwing a lot of stuff around the house. I will try not to throw the cat. You will hear Craig swearing a lot. You will probably hear Nick swearing more than you'd expect. And we invite your comments as well. They will be flashed up on the screen if you want to. It's a bit like football does Gogglebox, I suppose.
Oh, you'll hear me encourage the team on as well. Don't worry about that too. Don't worry, lads. It's only 2-0. We got.
But not. You'll hear me ringing in, going, "What's going on, lads?" Whilst I'm still training, and I'll just be like, "What's going on?" and what mood I'm in depends on who I ring.
And not only that, but Joe, Friday Night Joe, the legend that is Male Joe, as we refer to him when this Joe is on the panel. Friday night, Joe, is actually at Sutton, and I suppose 3 or 4G connectivity, depending, will be tuning in pre-match, half-time, and full-time to go full Chris Kamara for us as well.
I'd love it if someone gets sent off. Can't get sent off. I thought it was getting sent off by fee.
No idea what it is, but going for shit show, says Gaff. Morning, Gaff.
Hi, Gaff.
Will Ben have his TV in the background? No, I think we might he'll either have it on his laptop or he might just turn around.
Sarah's going to work it so that the camera's on, but I can watch the TV.
Sarah's going to sort his tech for him because Ben can't do it himself. I'm jumping on that with Joe, says John. Yes, John, we hope you do find Friday Night Joe and get a little bit of FRI time. But yeah, so tomorrow night we'll be live from, did we say 7:30, Craig?
Yeah, 7:30. Yeah.
7:30, our stream will go up live and you'll just basically see us doing the same as all of you, watching the game, and it'll be a chance for us all to go, what the fuck? For 90 minutes together, as if we were all there. So again, it could be excellent. It could be awful. We won't know till we've tried it. So, Woody, did you want to say something there?
No, I was just thinking of when we're in our chat and we have all of those people watching it in different countries, and just thinking of the delays. That I can just imagine that somebody's Wi-Fi will be so slower than somebody else's.
Yeah,
we might just tune in to see
one
that.
thing we need to do is turn all multimedia, like any score fixes, and because it's being streamed, there's a delay of about a minute. So
but Ben, we couldn't possibly ask you not to look at your phone for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I turn my phone off when I'm watching a stream. So
very nice. Well, anyway, that is what we plan to do tomorrow. We hope to see some of you there. It may be a one-time only thing, a bit like Gary turning up for episodes.
Come spend Valentine's Day with the fools.
Yes, come spend Valentine's Day with us. But no, honestly, thank you very much for everyone who's watched along tonight and added comments. Wazza, Craig, Nick, Woody, Ben, thank you as ever for joining me this evening. Joe, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this evening. Always welcome on the Fools panel. But tonight, in fact, you know what? Because it's such a rarity, I'm going to give the final comments on solo layout to Gary now to Show Johnson. See us out, sir.
The name's sticking.
The name is sticking. Any final comments before we sign out?
Good luck with your show tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And thank you again, everyone, for watching. From Gary to Show Johnson and everyone else at Fools Rush In, thank you very, very much for watching. And good night.
Cheers out.
Take my hand, take my whole